At this very moment, we're actually behind a police line. This is the Los Angeles Police Department. Just about 2 hours ago, clashes broke out. The police themselves claiming that protesters were throwing things at these agents here. And also there were U.S. Marines in the location pushing back on the crowd with large shields. Then the police decided to open fire with rubber bullets and tear gas, and the protesters came running down the street. Now, what happened after that is we have at least 16 different vehicles from the Los Angeles Police Department parked here and pulling in at this very moment as we speak live to you here on CGTN. And they're here to push the crowd back even further toward the exit of this downtown area of Los Angeles, California. This is where all the clashes have been taking place for a week now between protesters who are very upset about the policies of U.S. President Donald Trump aimed at immigrants. A lot of the protesters telling us it's their grandparents, their mothers, their fathers who are the immigrants in hiding right now. So it's up to their children to come and tell the world that they are not happy with what's happening here. At this time, though, at this moment, the police are now pushing back on the crowd. There are police helicopters up overhead. All eyes are on this part of Los Angeles.
Now, across the nation as well, there are safety fears with organizers canceling the event in cities like Minnesota. What are you hearing on that?
Minnesota, we're told the governor there this morning set out a decree to his people. In the wake of that shooting and the murders, there were assassinations of those two local state legislators. This is making major headlines across the United States. It is one of the first openly political assassinations to have taken place since the late 1970s in the United States, sending alarm throughout the nation. People here in Los Angeles heard about that before they took to the streets. So these protests were taking place all across the United States. At least hundreds of thousands of people came out, certainly. Here in the state of California, officials said more than 200 such protests took place all across this state, one of the most populated states in the entire United States, and it is one of the most wealthy economies in the world. This state alone accounts for number 4 position as the top 4 economies in the world. Imagine, bigger than many countries. And so here in Los Angeles, in the morning, the protests were calm. Things were calm throughout the afternoon. We saw huge numbers of people, 20,000 according to the local government here. And then as the evening and the afternoon dragged on, things got tense, and this is what we have now at this moment here.
So, Frank, we are looking at live pictures now coming out of where you are standing right now in Los Angeles. Now, this latest protest follows a week of tension in LA. How are residents coping?
A lot of residents who we've been speaking with outside of this area, by the way, we traveled into the local Mexican-American barrios, places where a lot of Central American people live. My team happens to be Latin Americans. Our cameraman, Jimmy Hernandez, Leo Rodriguez is our producer here. They're from Latin America. So our team was able to go into these barrios and report in 2 languages. And people are telling us that they're extremely afraid. They told us at Mariachi Plaza, people are not coming out to buy meals. They're not going to the local market. Even in larger areas around the city, we're told from Anglo people who are Americans of European descent, we call them Anglos here in the southwestern United States, those folks were saying that they're not going to places like Walmart. They're too frightened to go shopping in California. That alone sounds unprecedented to this reporter. And the situation basically has just been a week of back and forth clashes right in this downtown area. If you look at a map of where this is taking place, actually it's a little speck on the giant city map of what is this second largest city in the entire United States. So, you know, the clashes are taking place right down in here. Police are trying to keep things calm, and people are very upset at U.S. President Donald Trump. They say that he's violating human rights here in a country that depends on migrants.
Frank, thank you for your live report from Los Angeles and for keeping an eye on that developing story for us.